Hello and welcome back to Darts World for our 2021 World Championship review. I'm Archie Corbett and I'm delighted to be joined by the fabulous Polly James, Chief News Writer of Darts World magazine Paul Woodage, and darts betting connoisseur Glenn Woodage. I hope you're all keeping well and I hope you had a good New Year's. It only seems right to start by talking about the tournament as a whole before we go into the specifics. Considering the circumstances, obviously we talked about it in the preview with the lack of fans. I personally thought the PDC did actually a really good job, and the excitement on stage made up somewhat for the lack of fans. I felt. Polly, how did you enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it, and I know that the preview that we did, I kept saying, how the World Dart Championships, it just never fails to impress. And I think even though, despite there was no crowds allowed, usually such a key factor into bringing the whole tournament alive, I mean, it was still so stupidly entertaining, action-packed, gritty. I mean, we were treated to, 16, 17 nights of amazing drama. And I don't know, it's probably different to be in there, but I find the crowd noises that they put in, they do it themselves in the little skybox. I think it sounds incredible, and I really feel the atmosphere. I know it's so different to be in there, but for me, it was a great tournament. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and the best man won at the
end. Well, yeah, he certainly did. I mean, and obviously Sky covering it, their coverage of it's always brilliant. And it felt like they had to kind of make almost an extra step up because of the lack of fans, and they had to, cover it just that extra step. How well do you think, Paul? How well do you think that they covered it, and how do you think they made up for that lack of crowd?
Sky and the PDC did a great job. I mean, logistically, it must have been a nightmare. You got that many different, I don't know how many different nations took part in the tournament. It's obviously a lot more than the previous tournaments, but you got all these nations, all their regulation, their rules, restrictions, to have them all come together and to put the tournament on the way they did. Now, they've done a few during the year that were great, obviously, but this was the big one, Ali Pali, and it was faultless. We at home watching it wouldn't obviously know there wasn't any fans there. For the players, it's massively different, but for us as fans, we didn't know. The production was fantastic, the presentation was fantastic, and the quality of the tournament was, again, as good as any tournament I've seen. It was really good. So what was a logistical nightmare for PDC and Matt Porter have done a great job. It really was that good.
Yeah, they certainly did brilliantly with it. And Glenn, from a betting perspective, so obviously it was really entertaining throughout, and we'll go into that. But with some high-seeded players going up fairly early, I mean, namely sort of Peter Wright, how did the tournament favourites develop sort of odd-wise as it went on?
It started off well, and then Mike Smith getting beat saved Christmas. It was up to Mike Smith getting beat. I think it was 10 or 12 favourites and one on the trot. And it was it was carnage. It was people just found accumulators and that's it. And then Mike got beat. And then it just kind of every day after that, it seems to be a favourite got beat. And it was a great result for bookmakers in the end. All the money was on Van Gerwen because we discussed before the tournament starts in the preview. Although Van Gerwen was, in my eyes, a short price. In the public eyes, he's never been bigger. So what a great tie to be! What a great tie! You're never going to get 11-4, 5-2 against Michael Van Gerwen. It's not heard of. In my eyes, it was too short based on what he had done, and I thought the price was right. But for the public, as I said, they kind of wanted to pile in. What should get a beat? Jose de Sousa, not de Sousa, Dimitri would have been an awful result for us. Him getting beat was fantastic from a betting point of view for our company. But yeah. Gerwyn Price was a good winner, to be fair, in the end. Ended up being a saviour.
Well, it sounds like Dave Chisnell actually helped the bookmakers out quite a lot then in knocking out both Vandenberg and Van Gerwen then.
Yes, he did. And getting beat by Anderson was still quite nice as well. So
yeah, it did perfectly. Okay, let's go on to talk about the winner, Gerwyn Price. Fair play, Paul. You called it. That was What was your reaction personally?
I was going to say it's not too hard to call. I think he was pretty much a bolt-on winner, or top 3 prediction, wasn't he, out of all of us? But God, I mean, just amazing. I mean, we were talking about him maybe being a little bit burnt out. Had he done too much that year? Had he won 8 tournaments in 2020? But as the guys were saying before, I actually didn't watch the final live because I was on the radio at that point. I mean, you couldn't have timed it any worse, really. Well, I was professional enough. I was doing my radio show and I was keeping up to date, obviously on Twitter. You just couldn't escape it. But I did watch it back and just, wow, even though he had a brilliant run in 2020, none of that winning experience helped him when he needed that one more leg to claim victory. It was just I think it just it goes to show that mentally Gezi was taken to a place where he'd never been before, standing on the oche. That amazing on-off relationship he's got with that double 10. And I think honestly, for the first time ever, we as the punters, the fans, we saw firsthand how tough and saw how much pressure there was in winning that double when it comes to being a world champ. It was written all over his face. It was extraordinary. We felt it all, I think, for the first time ever. I remember seeing an interview with him afterwards, and he was just saying, I can't believe how, like, Peter Wright and how MBG and obviously Phil Taylor before, how they make it look so easy, winning that double, that final double. Extraordinary, honestly. And just, as I say, you can't really say I called it. He was one of the top three favourites. But I mean, just in a sense, it's been great for Wales as well. Obviously, he's made history as the first Welsh PDC world champion. And, Wales is a small nation, and when something big happens to us, when the spotlight is shone on us, we are proud, we feel inspired. And whether you're a darts fan or not, it's awesome. We back our own, we back each other. And that's the great thing about being Welsh. We are, we really are truly united like that. But, we've been in full lockdown, strict lockdown since before Christmas. So this has been a huge boost for us. And, obviously for darts fans everywhere, he's a great character of the game. And I mean, what a success story. I could go on about it for a long time, but very, very, just really happy for him. I was talking to him a couple of days before the final. I think it was actually the night before. Oh no, he went home for Christmas, and then I think he had a couple of days before, obviously the semi-final and then the final, and he was talking about how, obviously, when I travel up to London and I'm on air, I have to leave my family behind. And I was saying, for me, it's a really small sacrifice for what I love to do, and also, to reap the benefits of it. And, the big gains, obviously, from a kind of a small sacrifice, really. It is a big sacrifice leaving your family. But I was saying, look, guys, just think about what this could do for you and your family. And I didn't want to say, like, for the entire Welsh nation. I didn't want to put too much pressure on him, but just chuffed to bits for him, and like I said, we could see it was written all over his face, and sweating buckets. I couldn't believe how much he was sweating up there. I think we were all feeling it, gosh. But as I say, elated for him, honest to God.
And Paul, he sort of trips over the line in the end, got through some nail-biting affairs, namely Jamie Lewis in the first round gave him a bit of a game. Brendan Dolan, I felt, came closest, as well as Stephen Bunton. Both came really close to beating him. What did you make of his performance as a whole, coming through those close games? I mean, that's got to, as Polly says, mentally strengthened him massively. Yeah,
I mean, look, the first game against his compatriot Lewis, I mean, he was, Jamie Lewis coming to that tournament well out of form. And I'm just looking at the stats, he performed great. It was 3-2. And then obviously he faced, Brendan. Great game against Brendan. Mervyn King was pretty easier than we thought. Gurney has been playing poor last 6 months. He played brilliantly against Gerwyn. And then Bunton, surprise package semi-final. Bunton, I mean, Stephen said that Gerwyn said to him afterwards, he thought he had him. So he didn't do it the easy way. Even in the final with 11 missed starts, you always felt he was going to get over the line. But he was fantastic, and then he just kind of like saw the winning line, stalled a bit, and then it was close to 6-4, I think, at one point. So brilliant. No, he showed a lot of fight, a lot of courage. That side of his game where he's a very, very brave player. He's very courageous, very passionate. He showed all that fighting spirit to come back and win a lot of them fifth leg deciders, a lot of them close games. Because there's only one game. Looking there, his only game up to the Bunton game that he won clearly without a deciding set was King. Yeah. So he didn't do it easy. He had some good opponents there as well. So, but the best guy won. Not a question. The best guy won.
Yeah. And by darts fans, quite across the board, there he's quite polarizing. He's sort of your Marmite darts player. How do you think? Just sticking with you there, Paul. How do you think how did darts fans react to him winning? Was it like, okay, he deserved this, or was it, I don't really like how he acts on stage and all this sort of thing? How did they react to it?
I think anyone who's an actual true darts fan would have to admit he deserved it. He's been brilliant. He's been the best player this year. What he's done in the game was it 2014 Q School? In 6-7 years, he's gone from Q School to the world champion, #1. It's phenomenal. A different sport. What he's done is transcended the game. Now, okay, yeah, he has people that don't like him for the way he's on stage. I know or believe that when he does that on stage, that's for his game. He's not to put anybody else off. He did against Clayton. He won the World Cup with Clayton. A week later, he's cheering against him. That's not to put off Johnny Clayton. That's because he wants to win. That's how he gets himself up. That's how he plays. Same with Kim Huybrecht. Same with Michael van Gerwen, other players. That's how they play. Anderson has his own way of playing. So does James Wade. They're quiet on stage. That's what he does. So, look, any darts fan can appreciate and respect him as a darts player. Is he still disliked? Probably, yeah. But I do think the tide is turning. But he is class. And you've got to, no matter what you think as a person or as a performer, he's a fantastic darts player. And he's done a lot now. To do what he's done is amazing.
Yeah. Well, he's a fantastic sportsman on the whole, isn't he? I mean, I read something where he qualified from Q School in the same year Van Gogh became world #1, and now he's overtaken him at world #1, like, 7 years later? It's an incredible story. So now, obviously, as we say, he's gone to being #1 in the world, a world champion, best player on the planet, World Cup winner. It's been quite the year for him. Glenn, do you think he'll follow up these successes, maybe not to the same extent, but have another kind of dominant year? Or do you think the pressure of having almost a target on his back with being #1, do you think that might get to him?
Oh, I think with Rob Cross, it kind of changed him a little bit. But no, I don't think with Price. I think he's comes from that sports background. I think he's mentally strong. I mean, he could have said the same after he won the Grand Slam, and is this going to be like? Is he going to? But he hasn't. He just kept it going and going. So no, I don't think he will. I think he's #1. I think he's greedy. I think he's hungry for more. I think he'll want to. I don't think he'll want to defend #1 as in I think he'll want to attack it and go further and further, playing from Van Gerwen. The Masters draws come out today. Interesting enough, he might have Steve Bunton again in the second round. So nice chance if Steve can beat Joe Cullen, nice chance of revenge for him. But no, I think Gerwyn Price could be just as hungry. I don't think he'll see it as a target on his back. I think he's had a target on his back for many years. To be honest, I think he'll just carry on and. No, I think he'll be okay. I think he'll kick on next year, and I think this time next year, I generally do think Gerwyn Price will still be world #1.
Interesting. Paul, how do you see 2021 going for Gerwyn Price? Because obviously, as we say, coming off of these massive riches of successes, how do you see it going for him?
I know, to be honest, a bit like you were saying there, he's had a target on his back for a long time. And I think, obviously when he had that fine and, against Gary Anderson, 2018. I remember vividly the Premier League in 2019 afterwards. I mean, people were just gunning for him. They just wanted a piece of him. Anything they could do just to trip him up or get under his skin. And obviously it worked. But the thing is will he sort of burn out, so to speak, or will he sort of will complacency set in now that he's got the top prize? The thing is that I really do believe that Gezi is a different breed of darts player that we haven't really seen yet. And I think, I think in years to come, when we look back, he is going to be very much a part of this new game of darts, that the way that we all watch it now, that these big characters that, to be fair, the PDC and Sky have created, and, the passion we see up on the Oki, the controversy, the laying it all on the line for the win. That's Gezi. That's what he's done. He's a sportsman in his own right when it comes to rugby, and he's just got a different sports blood within him. And like you were saying, actually, Paul, about I saw you having an argument on Twitter about it, actually, and I was looking as well. There were so many people who were like, yeah, fair play, he's done all right, but I just can't bloody stand the guy. And it's just within him. It's just his passion. I call it a Welsh thing, really, but that's just the way he's hardwired. And, we can't change. He's not doing it on purpose. As you say, he does it against Johnny Clayton, Jamie Lewis, whoever, it doesn't matter. But, I think, just like Glenn said, actually, I think he'll truck on. He's got the confidence now. He knows he can perform on the big stages. I think he knew that he could before, but now he really truly can. He's stared it in the face and he's punished it. But I think, give him a couple of months maybe to dust off from the dizzy heights that he's at now, and I think he'll be back on track. I don't think all get maybe at some points he was playing at his A game, but I think mostly throughout the tournament it was his B game. What do you think, guys?
Glenn?
It's a very good B game. I think for the final, for the first 5-6 sets, that's as good as that finishing, that against Bunton in the semi-finals. Those checkouts, both of them were under 100, was just exceptional. I've never seen a standard so high. I mean, they weren't giving each other a chance. They were usually like you miss a couple of shots at double and get a chance. And he wasn't doing it against Anderson. He's only, you look at his stats, it's only like the last set or when he's near the line, it dropped a little bit. I don't think anyone would have beaten him. I think Van Gerwen would have struggled to beat him in the final the very first, say, the way he played for the first 8-9 sets, actually not 6-3, 7-3, where he played for the first 6 sets, I think anyone would have struggled to live with him in the final. But yeah, I certainly agree. It was a B game maybe against Jamie Lewis, Brendan Dolan, and he could play a lot better than that. But then he showed the other side of him, just can't beat him. I mean, remember, Jamie Lewis, I think he bust on 48, which is massive, which ironically, I think the year before, didn't Willie O'Connor bust on a score to knock him out as well, or did he? So he's had that kind of bit of luck. But you get your luck and you ride it, and that's what he's done. And I thought from probably the second, third round onwards, you kind of thought he's the one to beat here. His names, as well as Van Gerwen was playing, you just thought he's had that little bit of luck here as well. He's the one to beat here in this tournament. And
you need that. Yeah, I mean, didn't Peter Wright survive match starts? Was it Rasmus? I'm trying to think last year. He survived match starts, didn't he?
Survived match starts in the first round against the Philippine lad, Martin. Yeah.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, so like you said, you need that bit of luck, and I mean, players had chances. Steve Bunton could have got 4-1 up against him in semi-final. He had 2 darts, double 8, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. So you need that rubber to green, but they're aware they're playing Gerwyn Price. I think in the head they're thinking, if they're anybody else, but they're aware they're playing the guy who probably is, heir to the throne, if you like, or the potential winner. So it's in the mind, I can beat Gerwyn Price, not I can beat, X player, B player. So it's a big thing when you're trying to beat this guy who's the best in the world, which he is right now. So I think psychologically, you need that bit of luck. And he played well. Could he play better? That set in the final, was it that set where he averaged a world record? Ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Was it 12, 11, 10, wasn't it? 33 darts in the set.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
136.6 average or something, is it?
Stupidly good. Yeah, I mean, he bits of that up to the point where he just dropped and Gary came back into it. He was it 5-1? I think he was. He was just. Yeah. I thought it'd be 7-1, 7-2. He
was genuinely wiping the floor with him up until that moment where he started getting shaky on the doubles and you thought he might have got back into it. Just a word on Gary Anderson, because he's come into this tournament having not played an awful lot this year, or not played an awful lot that well this year either. And he came in as a 13 seed. To think that there's 12 players in the world that are better in darts than Gary Anderson bewilders me. But he came in as a 13 seed, got into the final. It's been a good world for him, hasn't it, Paul?
Yeah, look, he's 13th in the world because he hasn't done the whole tour, the European events. That's why he's ranked 13, because he hasn't accumulated the money. On his day, there is only a couple of players on the planet as good as him. If he plays like he can play, we're talking about like circa maybe 14, 15, Gary Anderson, when he was the best player in the world. Yeah. Even though he wasn't ranked number 1, I thought he was slightly better than Van Gerwen at that time. But look, he is that good. And he played very, very well. He didn't play as well as he can. He was still, that little bit off. But look, for him to go to the final, he said afterwards he didn't expect that. He said, "I'll take a final. I'll take a final. That's great." He didn't expect to get that far. He knows how good he is, and he knows how far away he was to being as good as he can be. Yeah. But we talked about, before 3 weeks ago, we didn't have Gary in the final.
No,
did we?
No one did. Yeah.
We didn't have Bunton there in the quarters. Didn't have Chizzy semi-finals. Didn't have Chizzy there. Gurney, who had Gurney in the quarters, so through a few things there, but no one had Gary in the final. None of us had Gary in the final. But we know that if he turns up and plays like he can for that fortnight, yeah, he can beat anyone. Of course he could.
Yeah.
He's that good.
And I mean, Glenn, wasn't he? I might be getting this wrong. Wasn't he like 40-1 odds to win the whole thing at the start of a tournament, which is crazy?
Well, it was, but you've also got to bear in mind the section he was in, because remember, I think I said I fancied Dirk Van Dijvenbode for that section at a big price. You know, if he beat Gary Anderson, he would have won it. But he had Devin Peterson, he had Michael Smith, he had there's so many players, Glenn Durant, there's so many players in that section. So he threw it like, opened up a little bit, but he kind of like, it was perfect. It was a really hard draw for him, so that's why it's such a big price as well. I don't think Gary Anderson particularly played as well as he can. I think there's about a B game that he can play a lot better than that. I do think, and I might be a bit controversial, when they had after the Mensah game, Wayne Mardell and all that, and he kind of came back and said, I just want to play darts. Yeah, he does, but if you want to be a world champion, maybe Devin Peterson might not have been as nice. Maybe he's laughing and joking.
Yeah.
Go to the wrong table. Take your time. Because if you know for a fact he's going to put him off, as a purist, want to watch it, no, hurry up, Mensah, hurry up, throw your darts. It was horrible to watch. As Anderson said, I watched Coronation Street and all that. Yeah, I'm sat there, I'm watching the game, and it annoyed me because I think Mensah's a much better player when he's fast.
Yeah.
But to get in Anderson's head, which it clearly did, Gerwyn Price in the Grand Slam final, which again it got in his head. Sometimes maybe players could have took more tactics about it and could have knocked him out. We know Geza would have. He would have done that against him. He would have kind of got, a couple of years ago and even now. And I said, I think Devin Peterson, he went in the game, maybe Devin, beforehand, he would have been slight favourite maybe to win the game on form. Obviously, Anderson's played slight favourite based on what he's done this year. Dirk Van Dijvenbode as well, again on form this year would have been favourite for Anderson, but Anderson favourite because it's Gary Anderson and what he's done. But both those players, I think, they were too nice.
Yeah, they gave him too much respect, didn't they? That was what I thought. Definitely with both of them, they did.
Game. He knew how to rattle him.
Yeah, and they should have used that to their advantage, you could argue.
I think what Mensah did was disgusting, personally. I don't know the guy personally, but we all know he did it on purpose to put Gary off. And he was talking about Gerwyn Price. He doesn't do it to put players off. He does it to get himself up. I don't care what anyone says. He doesn't. I don't know the guy that well or really well. Polly does, but he doesn't do it to put players off. He puts it to get his own game up. And what Mensah did was despicable. And he's a very, very good player. And he is good enough to beat Gary Anderson. So why he did that, I don't know. He said, he's so slow. And,
in respect of Anderson doesn't pay Mensah's bills, does he? Mensah's there to do his job, to go as far as he can. And no matter how well you do it, whether it's right or wrong, he's there to try and win that darts match. And if he feels his best way is to slow him down, and that's his best way to win the darts match, at the end of the day, it's all fair in a game of darts.
If it gets like that, if players start doing that just to pay their bills and the game's going to be ruined, like I was well behind going that. Yeah, I know what you're saying. He'll win at all costs and all that, And what point is the game? What point is it cheating? He could have took half an hour between throws. He could have walked down. He could have walked down to the bottom and where the commentators are. But what he did was so wrong for the game. Within the spirit of the game, I know the law of the game is fine. But within the spirit of the game, it was despicable. I hated seeing that. And I felt Gary's anger afterwards. We're all going, interview Gary. And Michael Bridge eventually interviewed Gary. And you could see how annoyed he was. And I don't blame the guy. It was despicable. And I would have liked to see him get fined for that, personally. It might be controversial, but I think to deliberately do that, it's wrong. It's got to come out of the game. It's got to come out of the game.
To play devil's advocate on that, Gary Anderson's a 2-time world champion. Should he not just be able to deal with someone swapping tables and taking a bit more time?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what Wayne Mann will take. He should do, but again, it's Gary speaks from the heart. He says what he thinks. He's always done that, and it did annoy him, and he said it afterwards. And you could see it would annoy a lot of players. Want to be annoyed about. Yeah, he should have been able to deal with it, possibly, but he's at the stage in his career now. He's done everything. He's achieved it all. Doesn't have to play for money anymore now, probably. He just wants to go up there and play darts. And he's been stopped to do what he loves. Forget what he does for a living or what he earns. He's been stopped going up there and doing what he loves to do as a dart player. Not as a worker or somebody trying to earn a living anymore. Now he's safe, secure with money. It's another player might not have said it correct, but it was just to watch as a fan.
Yeah.
Forget the fact these players. We know what he deliberately did. He deliberately did that to put off a fantastic player and make him worse on purpose. And no one wants to see that. No, we don't want to see players go up there and make Gerwyn Price, Michael Van Gerwen take the shine off them. We want to see these guys at their best. I want to see Michael Van Gerwen and Gerwyn Price, Peter Wright, Anderson, but all these players. I want to see the best version of them on that stage. And when a play comes on and stops us seeing the best version of that player, then it's wrong for me. And it annoyed me. It annoyed me.
Well,
nothing against Mensah personally. I don't know the guy. I'm sure he's a lovely fella. What little I do know about him, he's a lovely guy. But what he did was bang out of order to stop us seeing the best version of a great player.
Yeah.
And we didn't have many years left.
It's certainly a chat for another day because we could go on forever about this. It's just quickly back to you, Paul. Just lastly on Gary Anderson, 2021. He says he's going to go for as many tournaments as he can, and 2021 is going to be his year. Do you go along with that? Do you think he can genuinely make a push for winning a couple of majors?
Yeah, definitely. I think so because like he said, he didn't expect to get to the final, when he said, yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. Do you know what I mean? I think with Gary, he's solid, isn't he? And going back, but not fully deeply into conversation about the Mensah thing. The thing is with Gary, and what he's got that a lot of other players don't, is that he commands respect. And I agree with you, Glenn, here a little bit here, and not because I like Mensah as a person or whatever, but the problem is that why does Gary have to set the tone? Why is he the one to sort of make the to be the one to make the rules? Like, why is he entitled? And why is just because he's won the two? And I respect every single title that he's ever got. I respect that he's a really amazing darts player, but why does he have to be the entitled one? The ref was there. He could have done something. I have to say, in terms of that match, I only watched a small proportion of it, but I've got to say and I've said it before about Gary. Sometimes I think he throws his toys out the pram and he gets away with it. And I think if it was any other player, it wouldn't fly. But for some reason, and it's great that he's got that, but he commands attention, he commands respect, and people bow down to him. Devin, Dirk, for example, like you were saying, Glenn, they were a bit too nice for him. Would Gazzy have been like that? Probably not, because they've got history anyway. But it's like, they just a little. He seems a bit untouchable up there, doesn't he? Sometimes, I think. Anyway, it's like, well, yeah, he was okay. I know he was playing ridiculously slow, but yeah, he was playing slow. But that was his pace at the time. Why should Gary be the one to call it?
Yeah, it needs another one, as Glenn was saying, of those big characters up there.
Sorry, Paul.
I just want to see the best players be able to play the best darts.
I know.
And I like Gary personally as well. So I'm a bit biased because I like Gary. But I did feel for him.
Yeah, he was obviously, he loves his darts, doesn't he? He loves his darts. As I said, he's a solid player. He's got a God-given natural talent to throw those arrows. And I think, he can be out. He obviously didn't do any of the Europe stuff or anything like that, the European stages. But yeah, you throw him into the mix and he'll perform at a very, very top level, which is why I think, throughout 2021, he'll crack on and pick up some titles. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, we don't want a situation where we see the best players in the world be limited to their ability be affected by gamesmanship. I want to see the best players in the world throw the best darts and play the best they can, and we didn't see that. And I don't want a situation where other players deliberately put off the best players that we want to watch. So we lose quality darts. That was my point, really. That's
like going to a football thing the same way. West Brom went to Liverpool, got a draw because Allardyce was negative.
Yeah. Sack Allardyce. It should be the manager.
You do what you need to do to try and win that game. If the other person's that good, they get over it and they find a way with them. That's my opinion.
I know there's no law against it, but nobody wants to see buses being parked, and it's the spirit of the game. I think the spirit of the game was killed that day by a player who didn't need to do what he did because he's that good. He's not like a poor player. He can't beat Gary Anderson. On his day, he could beat Gary Anderson. He's a great player. We know what he can do. He's won European events. He's a brilliant player. He can throw 110 average. So why do that? Why not just play your game and say, right, I'm good enough to beat this guy. I don't need to faff around at tables for half an hour. I can beat this guy. That's what West Brom are crap. They can't beat Liverpool. They have to do it that way. That's what I'm saying with that situation. He is good enough. So it just frustrated me, and I just felt a bit, about it. But I said a bit,
Yeah, it was In context, it was a small part of the tournament, and the tournament itself was brilliant. We'll just go for a quick break, and after we come back, I want all of your overachievers from the tournament, players that let you down a little bit in the tournament, your favourite match, and then we'll do a tiny little bit preview on the Premier League. So, welcome back to our 2021 World Championships review. We've just got off the hot topic of Gary Anderson, so we'll move swiftly on from that. I want to know, so we'll start with you, Polly. I want to know which players surprised you in a good way, but then also players that let you down a little bit of a tournament. So we'll start with you, Polly.
Okay, so I've got a feeling that all of our choices are going to be pretty much the same here, but definitely surprises of the tournament. Stephen Bunton, number one. I honestly thought he played phenomenally, and I thought, God, he's not even, his darts were like magnets to the board for real. Also Dirk as well. I think it was maybe after, oh gosh, I think it was, I can't remember when it was, but I called him for the entire tournament. I said, yeah, I think he can win this. I think it was before Gezzy's quarterfinal perhaps. But yeah, I thought Dirk was really good, and yeah, it was just obviously that final match with Gary Anderson, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought until then he played brilliantly. As we all thought, the players who didn't necessarily disappoint me, I was just gutted they couldn't make it out the first round, but obviously Dita and Lisa as well. Just really gutted for the girls this year. As we all know, it was like a historical moment for Fallon last year, or the year before that. And yeah, it would have been nice if they could have just made their stamp on things again this year. But yeah, who knows? I mean, it was just lovely to see a couple more girls on the stage. But yeah, just unfortunate they couldn't get going.
Yeah, it certainly was. And just on Stephen Bunting there, on sort of a positive side, comes in as 26th seed and plays absolutely phenomenally the entire tournament. I mean, Paul, what did you make of his tournament? Because it's a life changer for him, really, isn't it, in terms of money as well?
Yeah, I mean, I know personally. Glenn knows him very well as a good friend, so I was kind of like going to leave Glenn to talk about Steve, really, because he knows him a lot better. So we go to Glenn, if you don't mind, because he's about Bunton, because he knows him a lot better than me. And then come back and
sounds good.
Go on, bro.
The floor is yours.
He's been in contact with him, you see. He's been in contact with him during the tournament, so.
Yeah, I mean, me and Steve on the phone like every day after the competition. When it comes down to surprises, no, because I know he's that good. To me, Steve gets to semi-final. It's not a surprise. It's what he should be doing all the time. It's how good he is. He's had a bit of a knockback this year, obviously with the COVID, and he's come back. But set betting, he's better than set betting than he is leg betting, in my opinion. You look at what he's done the Masters, the BDO. He's won the Masters without dropping a set. He is that good. Believe it or not, you say overseas, he's gutted to get beat in the semi-final. Absolutely devastated. He thought, he was talking on TV, said, "I'm going to win this competition." That's not just him saying it. He genuinely believed it. And we all bought into it. Usually, when he says, "I'm going to win this," you kind of think, "Okay, you've got a bit of a hard draw there, Steve, but okay, go along." You buy into it. I genuinely thought he was going to win it. I really, really did. And the way he played against Geza was outstanding. He's probably the best darts he's played for a long, long time on stage. But I spoke to him before the Price Gurney match, and I said to him, like, "Okay, if you get Gurney beat, if Gurney can beat Geza there, does you a favour? He really should." He goes, "I want to play Geza." He goes, "I'm not sure what me head-to-head is against Gurney." He said, "But all I know," he goes, "I know Price has beat me the last few times I played him." He goes, "But last time I played him on a stage, which was Blackpool," he goes, "I beat him, so I've got good memories." Yeah. And that's what spurs him on. He's so confident about beating Wadey. He's so confident right in. I've never bought into someone as confident as he was, and he was right. So it doesn't really surprise me. The surprise package to me for the Worlds really more. Daryl Gurney surprised me with the form he's been in to do as well as he did. And the other one that surprised me well, I thought, Glenn Durant. I know it sounds bizarre with him being like a Premier League champion, but he was pretty much dreadful for the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. He's been I think it's good to see him come back to, and he could have beat Dirk as well. Could have gone either way that, but you can see that he's getting a bit of belief about him. So I thought him did well, and then the disappointment, I think you have to say Mike Smith, and I think he admit that himself. I mean, getting beat by Jason Lowe the way he did, no, he's better than that. Mike Smith's better than that all day long and stuff like that. So I think he's going to be disappointed. And again, Ian White failed on TV again, but played bloody well. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like when he got beat by Kim Ibrex, but it's probably one of the best performances of the round. Unfortunately, he ran into someone. It wasn't as if like he got up there and he averaged 85 and he got beat. I think I'm seeing what the average here, but Ian White,
102, 102, Glenn.
102 there, 102. He played really well. So I think you go with Ian White. I don't think he could have done much more. I just think he was lucky on that one. But and then like bottom going down a little bit. It's nice to see Jamie Lewis come back to a little bit of form, get himself back on. It's a little bit disappointing. Keane Barry. I know he got beat by Jeff Smith first round, but just a bit more composure on the doubles, a little bit more. I think he's one to watch. Soon. And my one to watch in 2021. He did a decent event. Ryan Sale. I think he's definitely one to. And if he's catching Gary Anderson as well, and they're both going to sprint each other on, that could be one dangerous combination for both of them this year.
Yeah, no, he was a really surprise package, but he was on some pretty decent form coming into the tournament anyway. Just a word on Michael Smith there, because again, as you say, by his own admission, he obviously didn't have the tournament he wanted, and he got rattled on stage by Jason Lowe fairly easily, it seemed. Yeah. Paul, what did you make of him? Because he was pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, well, I had two names that I thought did really well, and two names that disappointed me, and then my brother chose all four of them. So thanks, Glenn, because let him go first. Michael Smith, I don't know how much of this whole maiden major thing is in his head when he gets to a tournament. It must be in his head because the press, the media all talk about it. Look, the guy's class. He's a brilliant dart player. Will he win that PDC major? Yes, I'm pretty sure he will. But as the years go on or the months go on, he's going to doubt himself more. And I think it's in his head now when he gets up there thinking expectation is that high. He should have easily beat Jason Lowe. No disrespect to Jason Lowe, is a very good player. But Michael Smith should beat Jason Lowe in the Worlds. Simple as that. Yeah. And he didn't. And I don't know how much of that was because he felt that this was his time or everyone else talking about this is now the Worlds 2021. This is now Michael's time and he hasn't won anything yet. I do worry every time a tournament comes up, a major tournament comes up, Michael Smith is thinking this more and more each time. And, other players like Chizzy did great. Chizzy really did well. I mean, he beat MVG with a fantastic average, 5-0. No one saw that coming. No. He thought he could have beat him, but not 5-0. So he did a lot better. Like Glenn said, Gurney did surprise me. I thought he was going to flump at the first hurdle because he was terrible. He did brilliantly, to get to what he got. Michael's an enigma, and he's going to just turn up one tournament and go, you know what? Forget what I'm hearing in the paper or on the media. I'm just going to go put my head down and go and win it with 106-7 average, I think. But he did disappoint. And Ian White didn't disappoint. He played well. He just, he lost the game. But Kim was better. But I think other players disappointed. I think Luke Humphreys will be disappointed. After the last couple of years, and then he went out to Paul Lim first game. For him, last 2 years quarterfinals. I think that was a big disappointment. I was surprised he lost that game, and I thought he could have a good run. But for me, Chizzy was the real one that I couldn't see. I couldn't see him get past Dimmy. No, and he did. So, and then he went to Michael, and he thought, "Oh, okay." Then he beat Mike 5-0. So
he was, he was brilliant the whole tournament. There's one just for how they've performed at a World Championships. I feel he's obviously a quality player, but he's sort of slipped through the net there. He's Joe Cullen, because he had a very good tournament, and he's not typically done very well at Worlds in the past. But this tournament, I mean, he was this close to beating MVG. And we're going to go on. I'll ask you what your favourite match was, and I'm going to kick it off because that, other than the Chizzy one, just because I love Chizzy so much, and for beating Van Gerwen, it was just amazing. I was just jumping around my uni house. It was brilliant. But for that Joe Cullen MVG game was such a high standard, and it was that was my personal favourite match. We'll start with you, Polly. What game, other than maybe, I mean, I could probably guess if it's the final. But I mean, what was your favourite game?
You know what? Actually, just going back and reminiscing at some of the players that didn't do that well and some of the players that surprised us. Actually, there's so many more that I actually could have said, and it's true. Cullen, actually, that match against MVG, just phenomenal, like so good. But then also as well, I think for darting for darting greatness, darting finesse, and the skill, it's got to be Bunton and Gezi again. I thought that was just top notch as well, where both of them played out their skins, and it was like cat and mouse the entire way. That's the darts that I live for. You know, I love a bit of drama. And you know, where I really felt the sweats actually, and where I really thought that, gosh, I thought it was going to kick off again between Gurney and Gezi. When they were sort of winding each other up, or maybe Gezi winding Gurney up the first couple of sets. But yeah, do you know what? Just as a whole, I think the entire world again just delivered, and like you said, under the most, you know, the crazy of circumstances, the PDC Sky managed to build a huge platform, and the entertainment was just spot on. I absolutely loved it. But yeah, obviously the highlight game has got to be Gezi in the final. And I think purely, you know, it was the final. Gezi won. He's a Welsh player. I back him obviously, but I think truly because, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, but you know, I've been watching darts now maybe 11 years, but for me, I really felt like I was up there. I really felt like I was, my heart was beating along with Gezi's. And wow, for the first time, I really knew the pressure of what it was like to get that winning double. So yeah, that one for me.
Yeah. What about you, Paul? If you had to look back on one game?
I think that, look, the games that the guys have mentioned, I think the Chizzy-Dimitri game was brilliant. Really was. High quality, 4-3, could have gone either way. Great game. I think the Peter Wright Clements game was good as well. That sticks in my memory as well.
Yeah.
Where Clements edged it against obviously the world champion at the time. That was a great game. That was another great game. There's a lot of games to pick from there. I mean, there's a lot of one that you could argue that Chizzy Van Gogh was a great game if you like Chizzy. But as far as excitement goes, I think Cullen VG was the best game as far as excitement goes.
Yeah.
A lot of the Steve Bunton games were quite exciting, especially one against Price. Against Searle was very exciting as well when he came back. But yeah, I think the Peter Wright Clements game was quite a turning point as well, because that's when the world champ went out. And brilliant match, great quality. So there's a lot of good games to pick, but I'd pick them two out as well as what the guys have said.
Glenn, are there any that
Anderson, Paul, that was an exciting game, wasn't it, for you?
Which one?
Mensa and
Anderson against Mensa game was brilliant. Yeah, I think I made a lot of cups of tea in that game. For all the wrong reasons, it was captivating.
True.
For all the wrong reasons, you couldn't take your eyes off it. It was exciting because you just couldn't not watch it. It was fascinating. Yeah, fascinating was the word I'm looking for here. Without being quality, it was just a chess match. Just watching these two like great players battle out. So yeah, that was intriguing and fascinating, but it was a boring game as far as for the darts purist.
Glenn, are there any that have fallen through that you could pick from?
I think Clemens Ratajski, the last leg, I think they both missed about 9 darts.
Yeah.
You know,
yes.
Number one was close. I think Admiral Scott Waits, where Scott Waits had it won, and then some big finishes and some scores at the right time. Again, that was exciting. Couldn't go either way early on. I think from a personal point of view and a bit of a biased point of view, I think Steve Bunton's last leg against Andy Bolton, where he went out in the 11 darts when Bolton was left in 81, where you look at that, had he missed that, and then also when Bolton wins, we're not talking about him where he is now, he's back to 26 in the world. I think that's huge. And I think performance-wise, obviously MVG Cullen was a great game. I think Mervyn King's destruction of Jose de Sousa is outstanding. I don't think that gets mentioned enough. I think to beat him 4-0 with de Sousa averaging over 100, and King again he's on some kind of form. Mervyn King, we're putting on about the Premier League and stuff like that. Maybe why not Merv?
No crowds helping him, Glenn. No crowds helping Merv.
I don't think he's too well. I think he puts his earplugs in and cracks anyway. I think he gets wound up a little bit by the antics of people cheering. Like you could see that he swore last round against Van Gerwen when he did it, and obviously probably didn't appreciate Gerwyn Price doing it. But again, you just got to crack on and play your darts, and you've got to forget what your opponent's doing, because they're there. As I said before, they're there to do their job and get round. And if I'm good enough to play darts, I'm playing Mervyn King, and I know I can get the edge by giving it large, I give it large because I want to win that game. And if that's classed as cheating, I don't think it. I think it's just classed as mind games, personally.
Is it? I've played you at darts, and I played you at Monopoly. I played you at Monopoly, and you cheat. You do anything to win. You know, you start putting hotels on stations and things. So I know you cheat to win, right? But there is that. Yeah, but there is that, and this gamesmanship and just like taking a mick.
Cheating.
What, putting hotels on stations? Yeah,
no,
you can't do that.
Yeah, that may be. But cheating is like as he goes to throw a dart, cheering or coughing behind his back or shouting or putting him off. All you're doing is celebrating your own shot in your own way.
Oh no, that's not cheating.
That's how you get up for it. So
no, that's not cheating.
Yeah. So if Van Gerwen gives it large after 116 checkout and it annoys Mother King, that's Mother King's issue, not Van Gerwen's. And if I knew it annoys him, I'll do it even more and louder next time, personally.
No, that's not cheating. But going over to the table and making a meal every time you throw a dart, that's for me, it's bordering on. I'm not calling it a cheat. I'm saying taking literally a minute to go to the table and chalk your finger. Look, that's
mind games. It's mind games.
Yeah, I know. It's at what point, right? I don't want to go back into it because that's just moved on. But at what point is it gamesmanship and cheating? There's a very fine line there, a very fine line, and that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, we don't want to go back down that rabbit hole. Look,
that's another day, actually.
Yeah, certainly is a whole nother podcast we could do on that. It was a brilliant tournament, obviously, despite no fans being there. It was awesome. And then at the end, they announced moving back the Premier League. If we're lucky, we'll see Premier League action this year. It feels like they've moved it back to the Easter. They announced the nine competitors that are going to be in it, leaving one door open that's going to put even more pressure on the Masters. How much are you guys looking forward to the Premier League? Because I can't wait personally. I just want more and more darts after that Worlds. What do you think about it, Paul?
Oh well, I mean, it was my first time that I sort of mixed business and pleasure was at the Premier League, and I love the Premier League, and I think it's for the most robust of darts players. You need to be absolutely the top of the world, the best player in the world to win the Premier League, because it is absolutely grueling. Those how many weeks is it? Is it 16 weeks? I can't remember, but I love the way they do it. It's a phenomenal league. I love every Thursday night. I mean, I can't wait for it. I'm working it. You know, if there's crowds there, I'm going to be working it. I'm going to be in the thick of it. And I love the concept of it. I love that. You know, there's all in every single game, every single night. There's always something huge to play for. But you know, you could get knocked out. You know, you could be the one in 10th place and you get knocked out. You're always trying to win a place for the playoffs. It's just very exciting. It's just high elite darting pleasure. And I can't wait for it. It's definitely the best thing that it's been moved back. It's a darting tournament that really does deserve fans. So I think it's the best move, to be totally honest.
No, it makes sense. The lineup, just back to that. So people taking issue with Rob Cross being in it. He has to be in it because he's top 4, which people are failing to understand, it seems. That one last place, who do you think is going to claim it? Because there's going to be loads of players going for that. Paul, what do you think of it?
When the 10 came out, so it was announced, right? We all got a 9 because obviously once Price beat Anderson, it meant Rob Cross. I think if Anderson had won, Cross wouldn't have been in. Is that right, Ben? Yeah. Yeah, so we all know the 9. It was pretty much that's it, the 9, because it's obviously the winners. I thought a wild card. I thought a couple months ago, Devin Peterson, for a lot of different reasons, and he didn't do enough in the Worlds, maybe, but he is one that is in the mix.
Certainly.
For me, if I had to pick someone right now for that 10th position, right now on the spot, I'd pick Dirk, personally.
Yeah.
For the fact he's been a major runner-up. He's done had a pretty decent tournament there. He's a larger life character. This whole aubergine thing has exploded. He's box office. I think he will be right now the perfect fit. I think he's probably the favourite to get it. Maybe Glenn, are you doing a book on the 10th person? No, maybe you should.
Maybe
but
I want a Dirk favourite if I did.
Would you not? Who'd you have?
Mike Smith.
Would you?
Yeah, personally. I just think he's been there, done it. I think if Rob Cross had not been, if Anderson had beat Gerwyn in the final, then Rob Cross wouldn't have been there. I think Mike Smith would have been the pick. That's just my personal opinion.
Look, Mike Smith should maybe should be. He's a Premier League player. We all know that he's class. But if you're not going to pick Mike Smith this year for that 10th position, I think Dirk has done enough to maybe warrant or being the leading position right now. Things stand, So we'll see what happens next. I mean, look, if someone has a good Masters, Cullen, Bunting, then we talk about another player for 10th. I think they're waiting for the Masters thing, or maybe the UK. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh, go on, Paul.
No, I was going to say, like what you said, Paul, about him being a big character and him, the big showmanship, and he's got a lot of fans. He's a surefire crowd favourite,
cult figure.
And it is, and I think that gives him the edge. To be totally honest, I think he'd be my pick. I think at the very beginning I thought, he's going to be in the Premier League in some way or another if they were to do the contenders again. Obviously they've scrapped it, but I think if he, I think it is after the Masters they're going to choose, aren't they? Or whoever
I think they were going to leave it open for I mean the Masters is the obvious one because that's the next big tournament. So it makes sense if they're going to start it in say March. We don't know what's going to happen with crowds, but we can't obviously have anything till March with the restrictions in place till at least probably end of Feb. So they're going to have to announce it. But they don't need to rush it, I don't suppose, because I don't know when it's going to start. April, I reckon. When's it normally start? Feb, isn't it?
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because if Dirk, obviously I think Dirk is everyone's favourite, but if he starts to burn out a little bit, I suppose. I don't know. He's had a good, definitely a good couple of months, but there's so many people in the mix, so many people who can throw their hat into the ring with this one. I mean, just leaving that one space open is going to be tough to call, definitely. Especially
it's a really clever move by the PDC. No one saw this coming. No one saw this coming. I think maybe Matt Porter was behind it, or it's a really clever idea to keep that one little place open. I think it's a really smart move. That it was a curveball. I like it a lot. I do like it.
It's certainly good. It's certainly good for the game. Just a quick one, sticking with you, Paul, because I saw you tweeting about it a little bit. Do you think they should change the structure of the Premier League?
Yeah. I think it's gone stale. I've seen a few different ideas. I thought at some point about a month ago or 2 months ago, I thought they should have maybe made it 12 because there's maybe a couple of other people that you could put in the Premier League and have 6 matches a night where best of 6 like doing the floor. Sure. I just feel that, it's enduring. It is a long, drawn-out event, and the nights are great, Paul, and I get that, and it really is, and it's strength of mind. We know what Matt Webster went through with it and all that. Strongest win, but I just think the format might need shaking up, and something might need to change. Not dramatically, because I think it's a great concept and a great night, but I just think it just goes on a bit. It just drags on a bit too long sometimes for me. Others may disagree. I don't know whether Paul and Glenn think about that, or even you, Arch. I just think something needs to be freshened up. I'm going to use those words.
It dragged on in 2020.
Well, I mean, obviously for that reason. But you look at tournaments. The longest tournament we have is the world, 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, no, you're right, actually, and it's with the players as well. And I remember interviewing MVG 2019 straight after he won, and his first reaction was like, "I'm just knackered," and it just takes it out. They're flying the next, literally, you're interviewing them. So, what are you doing tonight? I'm going to sleep because I got a flight at 3 a.m. and I'm going to Europe, wherever they're going, but it does take it out of them. As I said, you have to be the mentally strong. You have to be the most robust of players, which is why they pick the world's best. But no, you're right, and it's as I said before, grueling schedule. Is it too long? Does it? I don't know. I mean, it's exciting for us fans, but cool, blimey, it's not half taken out on them. 100%.
You need to play twice. I mean, it's not like home and away, is it? So I just think, Glenn, do you think it should be shortened somehow?
I think it's got a bit stale. I think maybe, I'm not sure about playing twice. Maybe play once. Maybe they play once, and at the end of it, then the bottom 2 relegated, and they start again and play the next 4, or over the course of weeks, or so that all the points are start. So I don't know. I don't know. I think, I'd like to see it a little bit change, the format change, but I haven't got an answer to what to change it to. So I can't sit here and say, "Oh yeah, it's wrong, it's boring, let's change it." What do you want to change to? I don't know.
Yeah, just a shake up, just a freshen up, not just names, but
by putting new names in, freshens up, I suppose.
Yeah.
You go and make,
but not the. Yeah, I just feel it. I just feel it just goes on too many weeks. I just feel it's 16 weeks, isn't it? And then the final. And yeah, like Paul said, you have to get there Wednesday by 10 o'clock at night. They check out Friday. They're off to like maybe Europe or a PDC tour like Barnsley, Wigan, Milton Keynes, and then they get back on Monday, and then they're off 2 days later. So it's a long part of the year for these players, especially ones with families and that, like Gezi and Michael van Gerwen and players like that. A lot have got families these days, so it's 5 days away. Really, most weekends for these players. It's 16 weeks, so I just think it could be maybe shortened to half that. I don't know. Maybe like every Wednesday, Thursday, every week, 2 nights a week, and have like the players get a break, or maybe like they might play once in 3 or twice in 4. I don't know, something. Look, they're a genius. What Matt Porter's done at the PDC is fantastic, and they come up with these great ideas. So maybe looking at different ideas for it. I don't know. I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. But look, I feel just grateful for whatever darts we can get at the minute. Yeah. So the more darts, the better at the minute. I think we should leave it there. It's been great to chat to all of you. It was a brilliant World Championships. We've previewed the Premier League there a little bit, but overall, it's been a brilliant year for darts, and it's been a great World Championship. So thank you all for joining me.
Thanks, Ash.
Thanks so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.